Deadpool, the kick-ass, brutal, and often hilarious superhero movie / love story. Released in 2016, Ryan Reynolds plays Wade Wilson, a freelance mercenary who falls in love with a woman called Vanessa, where their romance truly blossoms. But after Wade becomes terminally ill, he volunteers himself to brutal experiments at the hands of supervillain Ajax, where Wade is transformed into a physically deformed mutant who can self-heal. Wade then becomes the anti-hero Deadpool and sets out to get revenge on Ajax and his entourage of baddies, while spouting out as many pop cultural references as possible, as well as frequently breaking the fourth wall, creating a unique superhero movie that is undoubtedly a lot of fun. So it's time to explore one of Marvel's most quirky characters by looking into 10 things that you didn't know about the Deadpool movie. Or as I'll always know it as, that movie where Ryan Reynolds has that freaky ass baby hand. So let's check it out. Number 10. The creation of Deadpool. Deadpool made his comic book debut in 1990 in New Mutants issue 98, and originally the character was written more as a straight-up villain, an adversary particularly to the X-Force and New Mutants. The character was created by comic book writers Fabian Nicieza and Rob Liefeld. The character got his name, Wade Wilson, because once the character's costume design and characteristics were created, it was felt that he was very similar to the DC character Deathstroke. So as a sort of in-joke, Deadpool became Wade Wilson, as Deathstroke's real name is Slade Wilson, which seems fitting as Deadpool himself is something of a parody. Deadpool was known for his in-jokes, which often broke the fourth wall, as well as being a horribly scarred Canadian mercenary who can self-heal from his injuries. As the character evolved in the comics, he became increasingly popular, whereas instead of being a supervillain, he became more of a wisecracking anti-hero, where he would go on to get his own comic book, as well as other comic book titles such as Cable and Deadpool. Yep, thanks to his dry wit, self-awareness, and parody, and ability to kick ass, Deadpool became the character that people just gravitated to. Number 9. The movie went into production 16 years before its release. It was the year 2000, and production company Artisan Entertainment, who had just had great success with the Blair Witch Project, bought the rights to several Marvel characters, with the intention of making movies based on the characters, one of which being Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds was a huge fan of Deadpool, particularly the Cable and Deadpool comic, and really wanted to star in the movie. In 2004, the production had shifted to New Line Cinema, with both Reynolds and David S. Goyer attached to the film, as Reynolds and Goyer had previously worked together on Blade Trinity, the third Blade movie which co-starred Ryan Reynolds, as well as being a Marvel movie itself. However, this production at New Line Cinema completely collapsed due to copyright issues, as at the time 20th Century Fox were making their X-Men movies and held the rights to X-Men related characters as well. This obviously included Deadpool, but you know, what are you gonna do, hey? Number 8. Then Ryan Reynolds did finally get to play Deadpool, and it was a disaster. Reynolds was seriously committed to spearheading Deadpool on the big screen and really had a love of the character and faith that the movie would work. Thankfully, 20th Century Fox were considering expanding their X-Men cinematic universe and introducing new characters, one of which being Deadpool, where the character was written into the 2009 movie X-Men Origins Wolverine, with Reynolds being cast in the role, where his wish came true, and he was finally going to play Deadpool. Except the powers that be radically changed the character, and he looked like this. Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, Deadpool on the big screen, the way you've never wanted to see him. Yeah, not only was X-Men Origins Wolverine trashed by fans and critics in general, but something that caused huge dismay and frustration to the fandom was the total butchering of the Deadpool character, and just how far it deviated from the comics. I guess we have to ask ourselves, do we want a character known for making wisecracking jokes to have his mouth completely removed, and thus not being able to talk? I can remember when Origins Wolverine came out and everyone was furious with the treatment of Deadpool. Like, they hated it. But surprisingly, despite of this, 20th Century Fox still went forward with a Deadpool movie. But yeah, something else would happen to put a damper on the production of this Deadpool movie. Number 7. Then the Green Lantern movie came along and put everything in jeopardy. So after the release of Origins Wolverine, 20th Century Fox, along with Ryan Reynolds, still went forward with making a solo Deadpool movie. And it was wisely decided to cut ties with Deadpool from Origins, and to make it more faithful to the comics, complete with the character's fourth wall breaking jokes and a much needed R rating. Zombieland writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick were hired to write the script because it was felt that they totally got the character and which direction to take him. And several directors were being considered, including Robert Rodriguez. But by 2011, director Tim Miller was hired as director, with Deadpool being his first feature film. Beforehand, he designed the title sequences for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Thor: The Dark World. So it seemed the production was really on track. That is, until June 2011, when the Green Lantern movie was released, in which Ryan Reynolds starred as the movie's heroic lead. Not only was it a major box office disaster, but it also got set upon by fans and critics alike, just like X-Men Origins Wolverine. Now, Fox was already having issues with Deadpool's proposed R rating, but after the disappointment of Green Lantern, they were really having doubts with a Deadpool movie, causing the production to now stall. Yep, that could have been the end of making a Deadpool movie right there and then. Number 6. Test footage being leaked got the production back on track. So Ryan Reynolds and Tim Miller were trying to convince 20th Century Fox to get the production of Deadpool back on track, with an adequate budget and intended R rating, but the studio wasn't really enthusiastic. Even fellow directors James Cameron and David Fincher were pushing 20th Century Fox to make this Deadpool movie, as they had faith in the script. Finally, Miller made some test footage for a Deadpool movie to offer an insight into what the movie would be like. The footage was entirely CGI and featured Reynolds providing the voice of Deadpool, complete with the character's fourth wall breaking jokes. And the studio saw it and still weren't interested. Yeah, this movie could not catch a break. However, in 2014, the footage was leaked online, and everyone got excited about this potential Deadpool movie, and there was now a demand for it. And so the leak itself encouraged 20th Century Fox to greenlight Deadpool, with Reynolds and Miller to have the freedom to make the movie as they see it. Reynolds said that if he knew that this would happen, he would have leaked the footage himself. So this begs to ask the question, just who on earth leaked it? Number 5. Script writing changes. About 70% of the original script is as seen in the final movie, but due to a lower budget, some changes had to be made. For example, the character Cable was going to appear in the movie, but it was decided to save his introduction for a potential sequel, along with the characters Garrison Kane, Sluggo, and Wild Child, who were considered as the original villains, till they were replaced by the Angel Dust character, who would be the secondary villain alongside Francis, aka Ajax. It was also decided to set the movie in the X-Men cinematic universe, but to also be its own thing, I guess you could say a spin-off, along with inside jokes making fun of the franchise. It was also felt that one of the X-Men should feature in the film, so Colossus was chosen as he had barely been fleshed out in the previous movies, along with Negasonic Teenage Warhead, who originally was a character from the new X-Men comics, and was also a character the studio could legally use. The script would also feature a lot of pop cultural references and jokes, particularly the Ferris Bueller post-credit parody, which Fox executives felt made the movie feel like a sort of Ferris Bueller's Day Off meets Natural Born Killers hybrid. And yeah, I can actually see that. At one stage, it was felt that maybe the movie shouldn't be an origin story, but Reynolds was against this, so it was decided to feature the movie with Deadpool's origin woven throughout the film, through Deadpool's narration. due to the budget being cut down by about $8 million, meant that 9 pages were removed from the script, including a motorbike chase scene and a more intense shootout scene at the end. Regardless, the script was now leaner and able to accommodate for the set budget. Number 4. The look of Deadpool. So Deadpool in the comics looks pretty ripped, as we see that he's just covered in muscles. When it came to the look of Deadpool for the movie, Reynolds wanted to play the character with his normal physique. It's not uncommon for actors in superhero movies to wear muscle padding with their costumes, but Reynolds didn't even want to wear any padding. Director Tim Miller felt that this gave the cinematic Deadpool a slimmer, but still a quintessential Deadpool look. Reynolds and Miller really wanted the costume to look as close as possible to how it looked in the comics. Let's keep in mind that at this time with this particular cinematic universe, the movie characters often deviated with how they looked in the movies, which is why in the comics Wolverine looked like this, but in the movies he looked like this. But nope, Reynolds and Miller really wanted to recapture the exact look from the comics. And when they saw the costume for the first time, they were so happy they apparently wept. When it came to Wade Wilson's disfigured look, the aim was to make him look really horrible, while not looking like something that could be compared to Freddy Krueger. So prosthetic makeup from the movie Sin City were used as an influence, while also keeping the look grounded and believable, and also adding a little charm too. Number 3. Filming. No doubt in an attempt to keep prying eyes away, the working title of the movie was Wham! The shoot took place at British Columbia, Vancouver, Canada, with a great deal of the shoot taking place at North Shore Studios. It was decided to shoot the movie in a way to make it look less glossy as possible, but dirtier and grittier than your average superhero movie, with even film grain being added in post. Up to 2,000 locals were hired to be actors, extras, and even film crew. It was felt that 2 people who were really required to always be on the set were the movie's writers Reese and Wernick, but the studio didn't want to pay them to always be there, so Reynolds himself paid their salaries, and wow, this movie really was Ryan Reynolds' baby, and no one can say that he didn't go the extra mile to bring this film into existence. Deadpool was a movie that also required a lot of CGI, from all its special effects to the character Colossus to even the facial expressions on Deadpool's mask. So 6 different effects companies were used, including Weta Digital and Digital Domain. But that said though, apart from Colossus, to me the CGI never really stood out or became too overbearing, as often is the case with other movies. So yeah, this is kind of a case of CGI done right. Number 2, the marketing was insane. When it came to the marketing for Deadpool, there wasn't really all that much money left. So the production, along with Reynolds, had to use other measures to get the word out there, where social media would be a huge basis for the marketing, which seems fitting as it was social media responses that got the movie greenlit in the first place. Reynolds would often promote the movie himself while wearing the Deadpool costume. Yeah, about that. Reynolds just took the costume with him after making the movie and decided to keep it. When 20th Century Fox found out about this, they just went along with him and just let him have it. There was also a series of humorous billboards, where it looked like Deadpool was literally leaping out of the advertisement, along with this one which used the poop emoji. But my favourite was this one, where the movie just looked like a flat-out romantic drama. Which, in a way, it kind of was. Be that one with lots of carnage and superheroes. The marketing for Deadpool was widely praised, with Wired calling it crazy and unrelenting. Before anyone got a chance to see the movie, a terminally ill 13-year-old boy really wanted to watch it, but couldn't make it to a special screening on the account of how ill he was. When Reynolds found out about this, he visited the boy himself and screened the movie to him, in which, according to IMDb, this boy was the first person to actually see the film. Reynolds and the boy would keep in contact till his sad passing, where Reynolds would even pay tribute to him on Twitter. Number 1. Deadpool Unleashed. Despite the fact that there was little studio interest in the movie and that Ryan Reynolds and other members of the crew had to fight to get the movie made, Deadpool was a massive success, making just over $781 million on its $58 million budget, which is insane numbers. It became the 9th highest grossing movie of 2016 and the highest grossing X-Men movie. Even though it's not really an X-Men movie, okay, it sort of is. It also beat Revenge of the Sith of 20th Century Fox's highest opening of that time. So the movie was a big deal. Deadpool was praised for its humour, characters, flashy set pieces, and daring R rating. My favourite review came from Uproxx, which described it as, quote, the world's most violent and vulgar Bugs Bunny cartoon. And I agree, the violence is graphic and brutal, but it feels so in a sort of Looney Tunes kind of way. But above all, the movie also has a lot of heart, like dealing with the themes of Wade's illness and his suffering when he's going through his procedures, and the loss he feels when he's no longer in Vanessa's life. And while on that subject, the movie really is a love story, because at the end of the day, the romance between Wade and Vanessa is really the heart of the movie. And I love how it has a happy ending, well, in this movie at least, and that Vanessa still loves him despite his deformities. Deadpool is a terrific and extremely enjoyable movie that perfectly balances action, superhero panache, gross-out violence, and wacky comedy, and it blends it all together perfectly, creating a truly unique movie. Deadpool is really a testament to Reynolds' dedication and love for the project, and the fight that he had to put up to get it made, and how in general he just went all out. Deadpool could very well be his masterpiece. Seriously though, this movie is a really good time and it's impossible not to love. It just somehow manages to be the perfect superhero origin / revenge story / romance / comedy. And it's definitely one of the best movies to come out in the last 10 years. Anyway, I'm Minty, and I'm off to listen to Careless Whisper on a boombox. See ya! What? You're still here? It's over! Go home! Go!